What is happening, guys? It's RJ here, and today we are finally going to put an end to this debate and determine who is the king of Android in 2020, the OnePlus 8 Pro or the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. These two Android juggernauts are arguably the best phones of 2020, but which one is flat out better? Let's find out. With both of these Android flagships, you have massive, top-of-the-line, almost bezel-less AMOLED displays. The Note 20 Ultra has a slightly bigger display, but both are incredibly bright and color accurate. They both also feature 120Hz refresh rates, though the implementation of that refresh rate differs. You see, with the Note 20 Ultra, Samsung forces you to choose between 120Hz and a 3K resolution. If you do choose to go with the 120Hz refresh rate, you'll get knocked all the way down to a resolution of 1080p. Whereas the OnePlus 8 Pro is a beast in the refresh rate department. You can use this phone in QHD plus resolution, all while maintaining that 120Hz refresh rate. It's important to keep in mind that Samsung has implemented a dynamic refresh rate system, meaning that the refresh rate reduces when the screen is idle. Whereas with the 8 Pro, you can run it at 120Hz refresh rate all the time, which I honestly prefer. I like the idea of an OEM giving me that option to run 120Hz whenever I want, and it's something that I want to see all smartphone manufacturers do across the board. Both of these devices also have curved displays. If you watch my channel a lot, you already know my take on curved panels. I simply don't like them. The 8 Pro does have more curvature in comparison, and I find myself experiencing more accidental touches on the 8 Pro as opposed to the Note. A huge underrated feature of Androids in general is the implementation of an always-on display. Just the convenience of being able to glance over at all of your notifications like the time and battery without having to pick up your phone is second to none. And I'm happy to say with the recent update to OxygenOS 11, both of these phones now have always-on displays, which is quite convenient. And just quickly before we do continue, if you do want to see more smartphone comparisons and reviews, I've made plenty of them here on my channel in the past, and I will continue to make more in the future. So if you want, consider leaving a like on this video and subscribing to the channel. When talking about the hardware, both of these devices have a very similar design language, with the same combination of glass and metal materials. With the Note 20 Ultra, we have a nice matte finish, which doesn't collect any fingerprints, and it provides some good grip to the phone. The 8 Pro also has a color that comes in a matte finish, but the color that I have right now is the black variant, which unfortunately is a shiny glass finish, so you do have to get a case on this as soon as possible. Something else that's often overlooked in a smartphone comparison is a good haptic vibration motor. I feel like a good haptic vibration motor is critical in distinguishing a premium smartphone from a mid to low tier device, which is why I'm happy to say both of these devices have excellent vibration motors. The feedback that you receive from these motors are very satisfying on both. I can't really say I prefer one over the other, it's just a matter of preference. When you've only used a flagship device your entire life, you take things like a good haptic vibration motor for granted. It's only when you switch to a mid or low tier device, you realize how good you've had it with the flagship. Moving on, with the 8 Pro, you do get this physical slider button on the side, which is used to switch between silencing, vibrating, and ringing your device. This is something that's also found on an iPhone, and you won't understand how useful this feature is until you get to use it on a daily basis. So personally, I really want to see this slider being implemented across all Android OEMs. Both of these devices don't come with a headphone jack, but they do have really good dual stereo speakers. Here's a quick speaker test between these two phones. Let me know which one you think is better. My pick is the Note 20 Ultra, but let me know in the comments down below what you think is better. The Note 20 Ultra is also slightly wider than the 8 Pro, so getting a good grasp on this device can be rather difficult if you do have smaller hands. The 8 Pro, on the other hand, no pun intended, is the perfect fit in my hands, and even after a long day of extended use, this device doesn't feel heavy in my hands. With the Note 20 Ultra, I do have to set it down once in a while just because I find it to be rather heavy in the hands after extended periods of use. In terms of specs, both of these devices are beasts and quite evenly matched, to be honest. The Note 20 Ultra does come with the slightly newer 865 chipset, which is supposed to offer 10% more power than the Snapdragon 865. But it is almost impossible to notice the difference in day-to-day usage. And they both also come with the Adreno 650 graphics card, which is excellent for gaming, and they both also feature 12GB of RAM, depending on which variant of the 8 Pro you go for. In my opinion, what sets apart the 8 Pro from the Note is the software optimization. Oxygen OS is such a fluid and smooth OS. Apart from stock Android, this is my favorite UI. In fact, it's very similar to a stock experience with the ultra smooth performance and plenty of customizable options. A lot of tech reviewers always say that good software can really set apart a phone from its competitors. And this statement is very relatable when comparing the performance of these two phones. The Note 20 Ultra runs One UI 2.5, and Samsung's done a really good job of refining the UI. It does feel a little faster now, and overall the UI just looks a lot cleaner. But in comparison to Oxygen OS, One UI is still lacking in the sense that both of these phones share very similar specs, but the 8 Pro feels like the faster and smoother device. This is made very apparent when just casually using the device. Animations, transitions, and just general scrolling feels smoother overall on the 8 Pro, even though both of these devices do feature 120Hz refresh rates and 12GB of RAM. This is something that I also have to point out, which I think is rather strange, and that's the fingerprint scanners. So the Note 20 Ultra comes with an ultrasonic fingerprint scanner, and the 8 Pro has an optical fingerprint scanner. Technically speaking, the ultrasonic fingerprint scanner is supposed to be the more secure and accurate reader. But that hasn't been the case for me at all. I registered my thumb 3 times already on the Note 20, and it still struggles to read my fingerprint. And sometimes I even get completely locked out of my phone. I've talked to my other tech friends and they haven't had any similar issues. But in my experience, the 8 Pro has the more reliable fingerprint scanner. It never gives me any trouble, and it also works when my fingers are wet. Not to mention, it also gives you this nice subtle feedback when you do unlock the device, which is missing on the Note. Cameras are a main consideration when comparing high-end devices. So when talking about the cameras, the Note 20 Ultra is the more formidable option, at least in terms of specs. It does pack a 108 megapixel main sensor, a 12 megapixel ultra wide, and a 12 megapixel telephoto with 5 times optical zoom and 50 times space zoom. The 8 Pro answers back with a 48 megapixel primary camera, an 8 megapixel telephoto camera, and a 48 megapixel ultra wide. Both of these devices do use laser autofocus when using the primary camera, and they're also very quick to focus on subjects. Before this comparison, I honestly thought the Note 20 Ultra would crush the 8 Pro in the camera comparison, but I was pleasantly surprised by how great the 8 Pro's primary camera is. Most of these shots look very realistic, with great color accuracy and great attention to detail. Shutter speed is also faster on the 8 Pro. I found the Note 20 to be a bit slower when snapping shots, which can potentially lead to you missing that crucial moment. But overall though, I do prefer the pictures coming out of the Note 20 Ultra. Especially when taking shots in low light indoor conditions. There is very little grain coming out of the Note 20 Ultra in comparison, and night mode is vastly superior in comparison on the Note 20 Ultra. The Note 20 Ultra also has an assortment of lenses that are not only more appealing, but also more versatile with features such as 5 times telephoto and 50 times digital zoom. The Note 20 Ultra also has a secret weapon, the S Pen. Okay, so it's not much of a secret, but you get the point. The S Pen is the main selling point of the Note series, and most people think they'll be using this pen on the daily. But in reality, most people only use it for a couple of weeks and then never again. But if you do think you'll be using the S Pen on the daily, It is vastly improved this year with a lower latency of 9 milliseconds and neat features such as Smart Select. Battery life is a key component when picking any smartphone, and you want a phone that's going to last you the whole day, especially if you are paying these insane flagship prices. The Note 20 Ultra comes with a 4500 mAh battery, while the 8 Pro comes with a 4510 mAh battery. Now, I've been unable to pinpoint the exact reason or cause of this, but on the Note, I've only been averaging around 4.5 hours of screen on time, and on a decent day about 5 hours. Keep in mind, this is with 120Hz turned on and the resolution set to 1080p. In my testing, the 8 Pro is the clear battery winner. I've been able to get through my entire day with no problems at all, averaging around 7 to 8 hours of screen on time. This is with Quad HD Plus resolution turned on and 120Hz forced to be always on. So the 8 Pro is super impressive in the battery department. It just puts the Note to shame, all while running Quad HD resolution with 120Hz refresh rate always on. Some people over on Twitter have been getting good battery life with the Note. There have been reports of 8, 9, and even 10 hours of screen on time, but I just haven't been able to replicate that unless I do turn down the refresh rate to 60 Hz. But there is no way I'm going to be doing that on a $1,300 phone. If you are wondering about my usage, it is pretty consistent throughout the week. About 80% of the time I am connected to a Wi-Fi network and I'm just casually scrolling through social media, texting in a WhatsApp group, and I do some light gaming, but nothing too crazy. Both of these phones do feature wireless charging and reverse wireless charging. The Note 20 Ultra is capable of 25 watt fast wired charging along with 15 watt wireless charging. Meanwhile, with the 8 Pro, we can get 30 watt wireless charging capable of charging your phone to 50% in just 30 minutes wirelessly. So that is faster than the Note's wired charging, which is actually really impressive. It is a bit difficult for me to recommend the Note 20 Ultra just based on my experiences with it and also from a value perspective. With the starting price of $400 lower than the Note, the 8 Pro offers a remarkably similar experience with unbeatable performance, decent cameras, and amazing software. That doesn't mean we can completely write off the Note. The Note definitely has a better camera system, more useful features such as the S Pen, and overall you do get that premium flagship Samsung experience. So which would I choose? Well, based on my experiences with both these devices, I would definitely go with the 8 Pro. I just love the fluidity of the software. I'm not a big camera person, I rarely take photos of anything, and it's just easier to use this phone one-handed. But yeah, that's been it for me guys. If you do want to keep watching, I recommend you watch my full OnePlus 8 Pro review. I will link it right here. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to flex with your tech.